Memories. Memories.
brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss. Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven.
No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through! Just gonna solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
SKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Inu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Avalanche immediately comes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3, so back and forth.
Welcome for joining us here this Sunday afternoon. We are what is going to be the last day of competition for the first half of the season here for CGL. I'm joined by the Big Sam, and today we got a matchup between the real Eclipse and Payload Pokers, teams that are rallying for a potential position into the 4th and lowest seed available of the EU Masters division, trying to get into that midseason tournament. And Big Sam, both these teams, bit of a struggle on the season, but this match is probably the most important so far for them.
Every match is important, but this one is very important because to get in, their team, what you said, needs a 3-0 to win. So there's going to be a very much an emphasis of sweeping. The opposite side, whoever loses the first match goes, well, we're out of the playoffs. Do we play spoiler? Or, what's the mindset going to that? So it's going to be interesting to see what the mindset's going to be, and is one of them start snowballing, or if it's going to be very competitive, because both teams won that playoff spot. But you said earlier, like I just said, it's a 3-0. You got to have that to get in. I think less than that, neither team's getting in, and you go back to the drawing board and wait till after the first half's tournament ends, and then we go to the second half.
Yeah, 100%. Even still, if you don't come away with that midseason placement, if you come away with the win, that's still confidence going into that bit of that. A little bit of an offseason for you. You have a couple weeks of not having to compete. You get to run more scrim blocks. You get a little more adjusted to the meta. For some teams, that's going to be of a benefit to them, quite frankly, to have that time to actually sit back, not have as much pressure on your shoulders, and have a better opportunity to learn. Because at the end of the day, that means a lot, especially with the way the meta has kind of like slowly shifted from like, okay, you have to run the Diva. It's like, no, you have to run the Ramatra. No, you have to run the Orisa. Now it's kind of opened up. Now it's a little all over the place, which I think is the way Overwatch needs to be. Have a few different set metas.
It's more fun when the quote-unquote meta is wide open. Depends on the maps as well, because certain maps like a Diva die works better than a Brawl. Some maps like Dro, where the Brawl works better than the dive, so it depends on what map there is. Yeah, we could see any of these tank, any number of these DPS combinations. Anything literally and truly depending on our maps is on the line. I like my Widows, my Sojourns. I like my 10 gameplay / headshots out of nowhere. So we shall see.
Yeah. Hey, but we're likely to see that. But obviously, got to take a look at both of our teams going into today. Big Sam and Real Eclipse. Right now, 1 and 2 seasons so far. Nothing to write home about. But you've come away with the win. You prove it. You can come away with it. And of course, I got to take a look at who's actually on this roster. So we have Nistol over on the DPS along with Tommy Boyo. We got Photo and Storm over on the tank. And then Amu and Hib over on the support line. The double Ana, not something you see every day. We're in the bygone era of having duplicate characters around. But either way, we see that Diva front and center, which still a very powerful character right now, Big Sam, and someone who I expect to see at some point today.
For the most part, during this patch and during this season, Diva was considered the go-to tank.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people ran her, all the Giga buffs, all the tanks got. So, not surprising there, because a lot of games, a lot of teams ran the Diva as their primary tank.
Yeah, 100%. That is what's going to matter the most. But of course, got to take a look at the other side of things. Their opponents, Payload Pokers, coming in today. Same exact record, 1-2. Also have the same map differential as well. We got Sensitive Pie and Raven on the DPS, Vortex running down it on the Reinhardt on the tank, and then we got Fia and Emmerich over on the support line. And again, the Rhine, not something we've seen too often, but it is still something that's kind of brought up in a really niche way, and sometimes that comes down to the comfortability of these teams. And if you feel like you could run something super quick at the Reinhardt, you technically have that ability to, especially in the Masters Division, where you don't necessarily have to run that hard meta if you are super comfortable on something else.
It all comes back to familiarity, what you're used to, and comfortability. Some people have their comfort picks, like they may like the Ryan better than the Ramatra,
Mhm.
may like the Winston more than the Diva. So if you're comfortable with a certain pick, and if you've played enough games, you're comfortable with each other, like you know what to expect, you know everybody's comfort picks, it kind of takes away stress and pressure off of you and allows you to play, more fluid, less stress free, and more relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, 100% as well. But obviously, we're not in a situation right now where we eventually get to the midseason. We will have map pools and loser picks in that situation. But in this situation, we have our set map pools for the regular season. So of course, we're going to start out on Antarctic Peninsula, and this is one of those maps where Brawl is like the heavy set, because controls are pretty much 50-50. 50% of them are, there is a lot of different map differences between the sub maps where you can run a bunch of different compositions, or like the other 50%, which Peninsula is a great example, where there's one kind of set kind of fighting style that seems to trump overall, and I think we're going to see a lot of that Brawl style here to start things out.
I played on Antarctic Peninsula a lot, and it is very much brawls. Honestly, looking at this, I would not be surprised if I see Ramatra v Ramatra Brawl in Waka, but I would assume, based on this, but I would not be surprised if we see Ramatra v Ramatra Brawl to open it up.
Possibility, but open things up for now. Obviously, nothing set in stone until we get out of the gates right now. But Vortex is sitting on that Reinhardt, and Emmerich goes over to that Baptiste. We're looking what was essentially one of the meta compositions earlier in this year, and it looks like we are going to see it. So both teams going to run on high octane, but Real Eclipse especially, as they look like they want to run the dive to start things out here.
That's kind of questionable. Like, you're gonna submit your TP, speeding with that. The turrets can be an issue. It's gonna be interesting to see how the Winston Ryan's gonna be going head to head with two completely different mindsets, two different skill sets, two different ways how to play them.
Yeah, the thing is that you really want to try to force somebody out into the open, and Photon Storm does not want to do that, unfortunately. You don't want to jump into basically a pile of bodies like that when you are not prepared to have your team behind you. So, already going to be taken out. Point should be easy at this point for Pokers to kind of go down and kind of literally poke them out of here. But for now, unfortunately, we see Thames right there in the background going to be able to survive, as Payload Pokers will be able to take the point to start things off.
We're able to get it right there. And so far, looking at these two teams, it's been Tommy Boyo versus Maris as the top two, getting their ults up highest so far for these two teams. So interesting, different aspects of DPS trying to get picks and the supports trying to keep the things up.
Yeah, and that's going to be a bit of a weird trade. That's really not going to favor Payload Pokers, unfortunately, because now you don't have the ability to really brawl out super hard. Raven pretty much has to take over that brawl aspect. And Photon Storm again goes in, gets taken out before they can make, honestly, any impact within the fight. And already, Real Eclipse, who had a potential advantage, the Ryan's going to come back, going to restabilize. Rest of Real Eclipse going to have to take a backseat here, take another reset. And right now, the dive style not working out to standard thus far.
It's not working because, say the Winston dies. The May can ice wall right behind him. Cassidy can hinder him and just fan the hammer, and that's just massive damage. You're hindered, you're hampered, you can't move as fast. You have a May wall behind you, and it's easy pickings for them.
Yeah, 100%. The stick gonna come through. It's gonna get rid of the immortality field, but that will finally be enough. Gonna come away with the fight win. Gonna cap that point. 61%. Able to do it with just the pulse bomb, but the biggest thing right now, Big Sam, Payload Poker is sitting on 4 ultimates, and each one of them can be super impactful.
The shatter alone helps you. The window is going to force them to zone away. You can use beat drop to help. Then you got Deadeye can zone out again. So very interesting how they want to approach this. They want to straight up brawl, then use the beat drop, or if they want to try to engage and use one of the other 2 ults.
Ooh. They're going to go for the solo shatter instead. Not going to work out that great. Photon going to be able to get around. The beat is going to be used as well. Going to bring in a little bit of engagement as Fia is going to be taken out. So no longer going to be able to use that window right now as Sensitify, hoping to find something with this Deadeye. Fortunately, it's just going to zone out a little bit. And now that's 2 ultimates used for essentially no gain by Payload Pokers.
It is, but you forced out beat drop from real Eclipse, and now you have a beat drop of your own, so if you go to engage, that's extra shield for you guys. And use that to keep the Rhine alive. That could come in handy for them.
Yep. Loving this rotation, by the way, forcing it over here for the time being, but Tommy Boyo is ready to go here as the beat's going to get used, and Payload Poker is going to double down in this fight as Photon's in there trying to find something with this Primal Rage, really shooting around, and eventually, Fia, again, going to be the first one to go down. It's unfortunately going to be such an easy target for them, and now back into the 4v4 supports of Real Eclipse doing a great job, honestly, staying alive, supporting everybody within this fight. We already have 2 picks away here as they're hoping to find a third. Photon Storm going to clear things out, and now 80% online, and all that's left to Payload Poker's names is just a shatter.
They're going to have to rush in. I would swap off to and try to do the Juno Lucy speed boost, get the point faster. Just shatter and see if you can get 1 or 2. But you got to worry the pulse bomb coming out, or even the Sojourn ult, because that Sojourn is a team kill away.
Yeah, again, I'm not getting the point of trying to solo. You're trying to solo shatter Photon both times, and now it's not going to have its value. Vortex is in a rough situation. DPS are there trying to survive, but Raven, Sensitify, they can only do so much at the end of the day, and that pin might call curtains right there on this 4-point Sensitify, trying to bring this one back, but in a 2v1, not the kind of 2v1 they want to be in either. Going to see if anybody can make it back to this point. Emmerich's trying to make it, unfortunately, just going to be a hair short, and this dive eventually paying off really well for the Real Eclipse, and Payload Poker's some questionable ult usage to start out the series.
Yeah. He has left the tank for a few games my whole lifetime. I've never been a fan of the solo shatter. That's, you got to at least get 2 to 3, especially now you're 5v5. If you whiff like that, you're screwed. At least try to get 2 to 3 at a time. But see,
yeah, it's kind of that situation right now where they're going to go over to the dive as well in the situation. So we're going to see the TPs both come up. Likely going to go over to the Sojourn and the Tracer respectively. It's exactly what they'll do. And I like Raven coming out over here on the far. It's going to create a lot of trouble. Tama Boyo is not a hard hit scan on the Sojourn technically. So I think Raven's going to deliver a ton of pressure here. It's already kind of forcing them into a little corner as we speak. But
there's raining down damage. It's so hard to get around it.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult, but already a couple picks on each side. Fia, again, and going to go down first in this fight. Raven, bit of a rough situation, but getting a lot of support right now is they're able to kind of hamper this point, make it difficult right now for anyone to really do anything if they decide to push down. But point has been unlocked for some time. Raven getting super low right now, needs to be found out because right now they're kind of just pot-shotting away for free, have all the support in the world. And right now, Sensitify doing a great job kind of stabilizing over here, making sure there's constantly a presence. Unfortunately, going to get taken out in due time. Real Eclipse, again, going to start out with the point to get things going here. High does get taken out, so Payload Pokers could engage relatively quickly.
Engage, as soon as you get the 1 pick off, you want to use your speed, you want to use your mobility, and try to pounce on whoever you can. Try to get more picks, try to make the other team stall as much as you can. Because these Winsons are going to do some damage, jump out, get a health pack, jump back in, put shield, go back and forth, try to hold this point as long as possible.
Yeah, unfortunately, not going to quite work out for Raven. Once again, going to get caught out this time around. A little more pressure being brought in for Payload Pokers. Fight's going to come to an end. They almost managed to find a free flip. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's quite going to stay that way as everyone's going to convene on the point. And you realize this, as soon as that point is ready to flip, you have multiple people drop down. So it's essentially impossible to let that point accidentally flip over.
That's why you gotta, have like a fall call like Peter, like, hey, we're close to losing it. And so you gotta like always be time aware, be aware of the percentage and all that.
Mhm.
We have seen a lot of C9s in our CGL days. A lot of people have been playing and just literally blink and the point of slipping the game's over. No one realizes it. So you got to keep aware of their percentage and who's on it, who's not on it.
I mean, I'll speak to that. We've had a lot of C9s in recent times, but we've seen a good couple of pulse bombs as well. Raven gonna get taken out to start things out. Not gonna be the same over on the side of Sensitive Pie though. And right now, Nitzel already has gotten rid of 2 right now, has that mega health pack to be able to take away right there. Now they're going wild. Vortex hits that primal rage. Unfortunately, it's going to result in nothing. That point not going to flip in real Eclipse, making a lot out of this dive, and Payload Poker is not able to match it in the slightest.
Oh, and you're approaching last team fight right here. If Pillow Pokers doesn't get it and flip it over, you're probably going to speed boost in, probably use both support ults. Maybe get Raven's ult up in time and try to sneak in the back line, try to get somebody, but this is it. This is do or die.
Yeah, does get taken out early. That's exactly what you want. The beat's going to be used, but Tommy Boyo not going to be the one to be caught with this. So now you've used 2 ultimates, and now Raven trying to find something. Eventually, you're just going to get taken out. And now there's a possibility right now for Payload Burgers to potentially throw this away, as Photon Storm is going to double down as well. Try to find something with this Primal Rage, knocking bodies around, and eventually Sensitive Pie will take that 1v1 away. Real Eclipse having a really tough time stabilizing. They're being hunted down one by one high, trying to get back in time to make some kind of impact. But it's looking like Photon's going to go down. They're going to take the reset eventually. Payload Pokers will be able to take this one away, but both teams emptying their ult banks to try to win that fight.
Teams did, but as I'm looking at this engagement, I'm looking at these 2 tracers and these pulse bombs. I think one of these pulse bombs has got to be huge. I'm assuming they're going to try to target the Lucios. But if one of these pulse bombs goes off and gets 1 or 2 supports, that's going to open up this team fight. It could end the game or keep it going in favor of Payload Pokers.
Yeah, because now this is a long time to have to hold away, especially if we don't have those kind of ultimates. And Raven already having a rough time, gets taken out early, does not have Fia there to support them. And now things can fall apart very quickly as Fia not too far behind. Vortex and Sensitive Eye have to make something happen with these ultimates. You need to try to catch onto High is somebody, but unfortunately it's not going to pay off at all. High getting a little bit of revenge for earlier, and Vortex trying their darndest to try to pull this one back. Unfortunately, the impact has already been brought. The pulse bomb gonna hit nothing, but I don't think it really needed to hit much in the first place. Vortex getting a little bit of support back online. We're finally getting Fia and Raven back into the fight, but again, you're still fighting a losing battle, and you're losing person after person. Just a couple more touches coming through. Last person on that point, Sensitive Pie, gonna have to hit the recall. You can see Emmerich coming high from the sky, trying to make it back, but it's all for naught. It is all just for the stall. Everyone's still in the spawn room, and eventually, Real Eclipse are going to take Antarctic Peninsula to start things out, and clearly a very confident dive team.
I thought we'd see more brawls, but
Yeah.
hey, the dive works, and I can't speak for you, but I've been around since OG Season 1 where, Winston dive was the thing. So as an OG Winston player, I appreciate good Winston play. Yeah, I was expecting more of a brawl, but the dive works. And if it works, it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of one of those situations where, again, you can kind of just jump into comfortability. And while it is a brawl-centric map, we kind of saw very quickly the brawl eventually just got outplayed, and it becomes a situation of, okay, do we double down? Do we still run what is good for this map? Or do we try to match them? We try to make something out of it. And unfortunately, that just didn't really come to fruition as I would assume they really hoped it would. But either way, it's a good display for the Real Eclipse to come out on this dive. Clearly very confident. And luckily for them, the next map is going to favor that kind of composition as well, very much for them. So kind of puts them at a bit of an advantage as we're going to get set for our next map here in a moment, which is going to be Paraíso, which, I mean, as I said yesterday on stream, probably the polar opposite of Antarctic Peninsula. While Peninsula is a great brawl map, this is a very great dive map instead.
The first point is heavy dive. That's why some teams on defense will opt to run either a Torb for turrets on point in case the Wrecking Ball tries to dive in, or the Diva or Wings to dive in. So I'm assuming one of those 2 on defense. If you got this many high grounds, this many cheeky angles, Widow may or may not come out. That's the last thing, when your dive tanks wants to come in and see, oh, there's a torp turret or 3 symmetric turrets, and there's a Widow or even an Ashe, pocket of Ashe, just shooting straight at you. So I think we're gonna see.
Yeah. And we saw a little comfortability between that Sojourn, the Cassidy, the Tracer. This is one of those maps where I think if there's comfortability in the Ashe, I think Ashe is a fantastic pick here as well. But Tama Bueno seemed relatively comfortable on that Sojourn. Could see it again as gonna line up for Paraiso again. Since actually, let me correct myself on that one. Going into Paraiso, again, very dive-centric. We're probably going to see the Winstons brought out again. I think it's now just a question if we see Payload Pokers decide to bring out a D.Va instead, because again, D.Va's still a big character, still a lot of comfortability there, and it's very much in the anti-dive as well, where you can offer a lot more protection to your backline, where it felt like your supports were dying very easily back on Peninsula.
Oh, let's see. Now, it's going to be very interesting how they want to attack and defend it from one big playstyle to another, like you just mentioned. So they're spending this map with some certain heroes with these players, but it's going to be very interesting to see. But I would assume Winston v Winston. We might see D.Va v D.Va, but it's what we're going to get.
Oh, yeah, we sure will. Real Eclipse, they're on the defense to start things out here. Real Eclipse does have Photon Storm over on the D.Va. Tommy Boy going to make that appearance on the Ashe as well. Raven, Big Sam, Raven could have a bit of a tough time on this Echo. I mean, you have a lot of characters that can shoot them out of the sky.
And that was a huge nade right off the bat, so good anti.
Ooh, yeah, Raven going to get...
presence.
Yeah, gonna get super low. And again, Vortex tries to make a dive and pretty much gets instantly knocked away and not able to fully commit. But gonna bring in a little bit of pressure. Raven, who was sitting literally on 1 health, manages to barely stay alive. Sensitive Pie, though, gonna take out the Juno to start things out here. Already gonna break down that defense a little bit. And Real Eclipse gonna have a little bit more trouble holding on at this point. They're gonna take a little bit more of a defensive stance. Try to get everybody back here because that Juno, first time we're seeing it here today. And Juno has been a big favorite as Vortex. Gonna get taken out, gonna get traded out with Tommy Boyo. We're seeing Photon Storm going deep, gets a second pick as well, and has the support ready to go. So looks like Real Eclipse is going to be able to hold here, going to get rid of Fia to kind of stabilize out, and eventually Photon Storm doing great, getting a 3K on this D.Va to start out with this first fight.
The huge 3K right there helping out, but these Tracers are putting in a lot of work right now, and they're just trying to one-up each other. So, like right now, just, on both sides of it, they know the Tracer's going to try to target the Kiriko, and that Tracer's going to try to target the Ana, so loving the Tracer duel right now.
Yep. Nade on Sensitive Pie is going to force out that, some of their abilities. Going to have to force their way out of there a little bit, but perfectly fine. Again, they kind of have this chance to kind of stabilize here in this backline, because while we do see eventually Vortex going to go for this dive, they are going to get slept away, going to get naded. The cleanse is going to come through, though, so Fia going to be there to be able to support Vortex. But again, you see this Photon is not afraid to just keep pressing this backline because they realize they can. They have that second life within their bomb if they so choose to, but things even back out. Tommy Boyo gets a little bit of pressure, but again, just staying alive, even if they lose a person, Real Eclipse is stabilizing brilliantly.
They're easily able to stabilize, use their synergies and all that. And yeah, the D.Va self-destruct you back in mech it can zone at those a team, and it gives you full-on health again if you need it. So it's literally like a full-on reset, basically, except if you lose your ult. That's literally keeping them off point and making them back up and everything. So kudos to the D.Va player. Kudos to that idea.
Yep, now it's going to come out online, going to go on to Photon Storms. I guess you think get rid of Vortex before they get the ultimate online, and they 100% will. A Pulse Bomb comes through. Nice little stick. That was Sensitive Pie. Thinks they can still win this in the 4v4, and it's a great possibility, to be honest with you. But we do see the Tracer 1v1 on this side right now. Trying to see if they can find it. Already the Mega been taken, but recalls are existing. And unfortunately, you're going to get forced out in that situation if you're Nitzel. So, Payload Pokers back online. Lots of ultimates to their name, and this fight should be a major ultim.
Yes, it should be. I'm assuming they're going to see a Bob first.
Yep, Bob going to get used. Already going to get knocked out of that copy into that baby D.Va form. Not the place you want to be right now if you're Raven, but they still relatively 50-50. But Bob making a lot of impact. Vortex has to choose whether or not to invest that Primal Rage because this is a risk to go for it. But they are going to double down, try to find somebody. But realistically, you want to try somebody else outside of that D.Va. That bomb is going to be nice and ready to go. But this juggling skill, I mean, might be second to none. Takes them from 600 to 0, and they're not going to get that remix. So with that amazing juggle, Payload Pokers might just have that first point locked in.
Because even at the time when the Vortex was debating on using that ult, both supports for the real Eclipse went down. So it was a 4v3, 5v3. That's where Winston was like, I'm just going to juggle the D.Va. And D.Va was basically, if anybody used self-destruct, he could jump again, whiff, and get back in, whatever, both my supports. So kudos to Vortex right there. Solid Winston play and helped him cap that point.
Yep, 100%. But now they are behind on that ult percentage right now. Eclipse got that 3-1 advantage. And the thing right now is the Stomps right now does kind of have this orbital array ready to go. Pulse Bomb going to come out. Not going to quite find the success you're hoping for. But thing right now is that card has come to a stop. Raven is in the spawner right now. Sensitive Device trying to deliver some pressure. And in fact, they're getting super low with Vortex trying to hide behind the cart. And eventually, Real Eclipse going to be forced to back out a little bit. But they're doing a really good job controlling all these different angles.
This team right here for Payload Pokers has got high mobility, and they're spread out a little bit of everywhere. And these pulse bombs again are paying dividends.
Yeah, Sensitive by doing a lot for this team so far that, you know, I don't know if that was meant to be given to them, but either way, they got rid of one. Looks like they're going to get a second as well. Going to clean things up here. I don't know if that was the intentional nano target or not, but at that point, you take it. Give a nice little nano to your Juno. I'm not sure, actually, if I've ever seen an 8 nano Juno before. That's a first-time experience for me.
Here the Juno was like on 50 health or less after the pulse bomb for the trade-off, so the nano was used to completely heal up the Juno, and Juno could heal up the teammates. So that was, I think it was on purpose, because it was to keep your other support up and help support the teammates. So good call right there.
Yep, minute left on that clock right now. Not more than a second fight going to be available. Vortex is going to get dominated, but they're got the prop that primary just to stay alive. Tried to find high here on this Ana, who's getting juggled around. Eventually going to take care of them, but they're open array doing some damage in the back line for things right now. You're going to lose out on Fia. Raven is already well out of the fight, but Tommy Boyo going to get a little caught out, so we're back to a 3v3 situation. And while they're getting a little bit of progress here, the spawns are relatively 50-50, and it's looking like they're just going to take the reset instead.
With this much time on the clock, it's best to take a full-on reset. So looking at these two, I'm going to assume they're going to try to speed boost in, then Kiriko ult, Winston try to get some damage in, Raven's going to try to get ult, and then Tommy's going to try to get ult and try to put Bob on point to stall, and you have D.Va substruct on point to stall. So the defense is going to be in a better predicament than this, but we shall see.
And Raven's going to die before they can get that coffee online. That's going to be massive as well. Emmerich also is going to barely get that beat online. I thought we were going to be hit with the certified Ajax, but fight still alive. Payload Pokers still pushing away. Looks like they're going to be able to take this fight, but Insol does not want this to go down. The pulse, I'm going to stick onto Vortex, and it's down to Raven to come back, try to get something, but with that bomb in play, it's going to be too hard to touch, and they're not going to make it back in time. Payload Pokers going to be stopped just outside of that second checkpoint, and in terms of Paraiso, that is not that far of a distance to make it to.
It's not. Going back on that engagement, Bob came out, they were trying to target the Echo, so the Echo cannot do anything or get ult. Point is literally infinite ammunition for a few seconds, and that's just massive damage coming out if you can't out heal it or out shield it. And that literally becomes a 6v4, forces you to play a little more defensively. But hey, kudos to them. Royal Eclipse, that was good hold. That was good, solid, like, synergy between all 5 of those players. And then, of course, the Nano Juno was out of a desperation, and it worked.
Yeah, 100%. But looking at the changes here, not a whole lot's really going to change around right now. Sensitive Pie is debating on running out on this Ashe, and Raven on that Sojourn as well. Honestly, I don't dislike it overall. Nitzel was getting away with a lot of the 1v1s on that Tracer, so you're starting to put your resources elsewhere. You figure that there are issues elsewhere you rather put more resources into, which is a fair call. But in this situation, you have to be ready, because the most difficult part for Real Eclipse here is going to be this first point attack. And if Payload Pokers can set up a good defense here, take a ton of time off that clock, as we have a Winton.
I'm looking forward to the Brig coming out on defense because that Brig's gonna be a hard counter / stun rid of the Tracer. They're gonna try to put more in their DPS to get the tank down.
Yeah, gonna try to, but tell me, boy, gonna start over on this Ashe. Already got a big dynamite to start things out here, and Vortex already put themselves in a very bad situation. Does manage to get some support out of there, but Real Eclipse, despite their composition, they still have a very fast lineup. Photon Storm and Nitzel can move in very quickly if they decide to. They can take a lot of time and also surround these guys because Payload Poker's already getting forced out of it, but Nitzel gonna get taken out early as Vortex is gonna be able to stabilize a little bit here. Looks like the DPS of Payload Pokers will be able to force them back. Real Eclipse gonna have to take their first reset, but they're still kind of playing as a core right now, Big Sam.
Even in that, you're thinking, okay, we're gonna get rid of our Tracer back.
Oh,
Tommy's like, nah, take out the Echo, and again, both teams are doing trades back and forth, blow for trying to one up each other.
yeah, but that is not the trade you want to take. You lose your tank over losing the Ana. That is not at all what you want. As a matter of fact, Emmerich's going to go down as well. You're managing to force out Sensitive Pie and Fia in this situation with a tick already gone through. It's a debate of how you want to touch this, if at all.
And so far I like the Brig pick so far, but you gotta Brig put some healing out done. But if Brig gets targeted by 2 or 3 people, it's just hard to get anything with the Brig, especially with the Winston diving in and out. Right now, I'm assuming that they're gonna try to get the Nano Winston going and try to use it to cap it and try to go up 2-0 in this game.
Yeah, they're trying their best here right now. They're on a great track to be able to do so right now. 60% and plus to all their ultimates right now. But same thing for Payload Pokers, who already have that Nano online. Likely going to give it to Vortex here if they get into a rough situation. But they're going to get slept. Nano's going to come through. And they're going to double down with a Primal Rage. Going to get rid of one. Hoping to find a second. Looks like it will be enough in this situation. Going to be able to take a fight. But, Big Sam, they used 2 ultimates. And Real Eclipse did not pop a single thing for that.
That's where it's like, hey, we're gonna lose this, but hey, it's on the clock. We can afford to lose a team fight. Let them invest. So now you go from 3 ults down to 2. You're gonna get one up here on the board versus I pretty much for the Real Eclipse. So right now it's just farm your ults and use them.
Yep. And again, you take that trade. Tommy Boyo being out of the fight does suck, but taking Vortex out of that fight is going to be even more substantial because you have this time. You can take this space, take your time and push this payload because no one can really contest you on it unless Sensitive Pie decides to kind of hard invest. And Nitzel going to get taken out, going to make this a little bit more of a difficult fight, but Point is moving along and Sensitive Pie is going to go for that copy onto the Diva. Pressure going to be brought over to that point. They're going to decide to double down in this fight. The Stop's hoping they can find something here. A lot of pressure from Sensitive Pie, though. Eventually going to be forced back to that point. Only 10 meters away from putting this onto match point. And here comes that aggression coming through on the jump. Hoping to find something, but right now doing a great job of staying away and high. Taking it to Sensitive Pie. Getting rid of them. And it's all falling apart from here. 5v3 online. Big Sam, it is now not a question of if. It is becoming a question of when. As Raven's taken out, the supports are not going to be able to sustain. Real Eclipse are going to take this 2-0 match point. A dominant performance to start things out today.
Got the time easily from their attack, and it was more or less, let's just kill as much time as we can, but also let's just let them use their ults and their cooldowns, and then take advantage. We may lose 1 or 2 here or there, but we can come back. And the biggest thing is Bob, because Bob gives you a 6v5 advantage, even maybe for a few seconds. That's 6v5 with unlimited ammunition, and you gotta either ignore him, kill him, and if you don't, that damage adds up. And then if you're able to just like 2v1 one of their people, it was a 6v4, and then so on and so forth. So kudos to the Real Eclipse for that, as they're up 2-0, look very, very solid.
Oh, looking very solid, and obviously a team that seems to be very successful with this dive thus far. Again, doesn't really fully explain the 1-2 record to start the season. Obviously, you know, you could have gone against 2 of the best teams because obviously we have a couple teams that are still undefeated right now, like 07, Queen's Gambit are both undefeated. I'll have to kind of give that a little look. And in fact, I'll have a little bit more time to look at it because we're going to have a little halftime break here. So stick around, see if Real Eclipse can close us out, or maybe Payload Pokers are going to try to push this to a reverse sweep.
Come back and come see us and stay tuned.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Welcome back from the halftime break, ladies and gentlemen. We are here on the other end of a 2-1 so far at the hands of Real Eclipse, hoping to make it a 3-0 against Payload Pokers. And Big Sam, we kind of talked about it briefly during the break a little bit. We're not quite sure about this Payload Poker squad, who right now have not managed to run back the dive in any 50-50 way. The brawl started out strong, but it fell apart very quickly. But bright side for them, we're back on a map where brawl is something that is a little more favored, especially in that middle point where that is where the most important fights are going to take place.
Yeah, this is, how do I say this? I don't want to say the most controversial map, but it's the most talked about game mode so far. Maybe the most criticism. Either you like it or you hate it. It could be 10, 15 minutes. It could be, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So, on these maps right here in this game mode clash, this is like anybody's game because the brawl could win, but if you have a speedy dive and can cap points very rapidly, it could snowball out of a snowball, and that could be the end of it. So this is going to be an interesting map because I've seen both sides of it, and it's very, very hard to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, obviously, Clash kind of is entered that same kind of, when we think about like things that can kind of change at the pace, I think of something like Circuit Royale. That is a map where there's one definitive style that works better than any others. And we go into a map like Clash that is still new enough relatively to where you can still run a lot of different things. It's still a question of, hey, do we want to try to touch this point? Is it going to be a little too difficult? Is it a risk? Or do we decide to pull back? That's something that teams haven't fully decided on. At least not every team has kind of fallen down that route, because if you risk trying to go in for that and you fail, it's a 2CP situation. And like you said, you could get snowballed on that next point and lose out on very precious positioning.
Yes, it's very, very hard to predict, to prepare for this, because you got to be in your P's and Q's. And based on these two teams, I'm assuming a Tracer may play it on both sides. I've seen flankers heavily dominate this game mode, because if it starts snowballing, those Tracers are just in the back line picking off your supports. It's just one pick behind the other, and it just snowballs. So this is going to be interesting to see how both teams want to, go forward this. But we shall see what these two teams want to do.
Yep, 100%. Looks like we are going to see Vortex and the rest of Payload Poker is going to go back to that Brawl composition, back to the bread and butter. That started out well for them on the first few fights back on Antarctic Peninsula, but big thing for Eclipse here is they're going to be able to take a couple of different angles here. You're going to see the wall being expended by Raven to be able to kind of close off one of those sidelines, but those bombs are already going to get a little low, but High's going to be the first one to go down. That Brawl looking like it's going to work out really well, and this is where I was talking about that Brawl having an advantage to start things out here. Raven in a rough situation. The pit is going to find onto the Lucio. I don't know how that managed to get pulled off, but Vortex going to get a 2K. That should round out the first point. Payload Poker is going to start strong, but Real Eclipse is going to be able to all get the good spawns and take some good positioning for the next point.
They get the first one's always the hardest. Now they got to get full more. To me, you're going to speed boost straight into this point. You want to straight up brawl, wall them, maybe ice wall them off, and try to go up 2-0 and try to get some momentum going in your way.
Yep, 100%. You see, you're already taking over this high ground pretty quickly, and it's unfortunately going to get cut out in this situation. So Sensitive Pie able to rack up a little more ult charge, and now Tommy Boyo is eventually going to get forced out. And I love this right now. They're taking their time because Payload Pokers realize they don't have to go immediately. They just need to make sure they're all going to the same place together. They're eventually going to drop down. Tommy Boyo is literally going to try to flip it on them, but unfortunately, they're sitting in no man's land back there. High, though, does manage to find a pick, and the rest of the squad of Real Eclipse going to come in, hoping to clean things up, and it's not looking like they're going to be able to survive, so eventually going to get taken out. And so will end up going down, and Vortex is going to try to hold on to the Shatter, and they will be able to do so. Going to tie things up, but Payload Poker's a lot of big ultimates coming up, and I'm really hoping we see something more than a solo Shatter.
Yeah, right here, you'd have to get the tank, the two supports, or even the tank and the Sojourn. Lucky to get the Shatter.
Hey, you know what? It wasn't a 1K this time. It ended up being a 1K, but you got the value off of it. You get that Lucio, not going to be able to build up to anything, but a big stick, gonna get a 2K. Nitzel bringing this fight back, and now Vortex have to talk about whether or not they want to invest this beat and try to win a 4v3, but with Vortex down, they're going to have to give up, but they're going to invest anyway. And now you have Sensitive and Via trying to make it back, but Raven not going to be able to get their ult out on time, and Emmerich, you're going to lose out on that ultimate, and now that might be a fatal mistake right there, because now you have no beat to have some secondary coverage, and Payload Pokers, that's just not the right call.
No, that kills your momentum. That kills your mindset going in, because you had the Lucio down, you had one support, but man, that's just good defense right there. Some of them total Real Eclipse. Now you got to be careful, because this Sojourner ult can open up this point and go up 3-1 really fast, really easily, unless they want to May Blizzard and try to get 2-3 in there and try to pick them off and tie it up.
Yep, we do see Photon Storm again. They're taking it quick. We're going to see this come through. Hope to find something here. Going to move around. Remember that little extra speed the Cassidy has. Unfortunately, you are going to get caught up as the freeze is going to be used as well. But again, they're investing these ultimates when the fight, it feels like it's already lost. So now we're going to go to a 3-1 realistically. And Real Eclipse still has an ultimate ready online. And for Payload Pokers, again, unfortunately, just a little bit of misusage on the ults.
Yeah, to me, as soon as you lose 1 or 2 and you know it's over, don't do it. I would have saved that May Blizzard for this engagement and tried to use that, get picks, and then go up 2-1. But it's just it's steadily back and forth. But it's just the little mistakes are costing Payload Poker so much.
Yeah, 100%. And now, Real Eclipse, honestly, they have the option to completely just give up this point, and they're kind of, it looks like they're debating it right now, whether or not they want to go for it or not. I still think it's kind of worth the fight to at least force something out, but Big Sam, they're not considering it in the slightest. They're not even going to bother.
Looks like they're just gonna full on reset, get together, say, hey, we're up 3-2. Let's go to the next point where we know what's gonna be. Try to get your high ground, try to get your advantage right there. And I would say try to pulse bomb one of these, the tank or the support, and try to get a pick off right there.
Yeah, and the pulse is going to come out exactly what they were hoping for, but that's going to be a bit of a trade right there as the pin's going to come through. Photon, not in the place they really want to be, but Shadow's going to come through. It's got rid of 3, but is the damage there to follow up? Looks like it eventually will be, but Photon Storm still alive and strong and high. Honestly, just pulling up the 3rd DPS card, and now Raven has to try to survive, but unfortunately they're a little pulled away from the rest of their team as they're going to try to see if they can get out and take a quick little regroup.
Yeah, this is just huge right here. Just Raven had nowhere to go. Lucio just booping around, just stalling, and that's the pick. This is it for Real Eclipse for 3-0 to try to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is it for Payload Pokers. This is either win this and try to get some momentum going, flip it over for sweep.
Yeah, Photon Storm went a little bit early, and we're seeing a full investment here on the side of Real Eclipse. Already have invested 2, and I'll be honest, this fight is pretty much entering the realms of unwinnable here. Sensitive Pie does go down, the beat going to be expanded, so now Vortex is going to go a little aggro here, and in fact, that's exactly what they got. They got 2 ultimates out, they're going to take the reset, they have the beat ready, and now, looks like they will take a reset. I doubt there's going to be a realistic retouch, but they're thinking about it, but they're going to try to take that fight the exact same way on D, and this could be the final fight coming up.
Yeah, to me, right there. Hey, we can't afford to give it up. It's 4-3. They got to win 2 more. We got to win 1 more. We know where it's going to be. Let's just back up. Oh, tough.
That might be your worst case scenario right there. Now you don't have the speed to move around here, and Sensitive Pie gonna get taken out. Raven does have this freeze, but is gonna die with it. So now they're playing in the hopes that they can get a recontestment here. And if Vortex dies, I don't think that's realistic. But Nitzel gonna pull back a little bit, has that pulse bomb ready, and Big Sam, Vortex has to be the one to touch this point.
Vortex has got to touch.
Yeah,
pin.
Yep, the freeze is coming back, though. Someone has to go in for a second contestation. Big Stick gonna force out the immortality, and that should be Currents right now. Raven hoping to find something on the freeze. You are gonna get Photon Storm, but Primal's gonna come online, not gonna be able to take them out, and now it is just the Saw coming through. Raven knocked away. Real Eclipse will take the 3-0, keeping their mid-season playoff hopes alive. And in relatively dominant fashion there, Payload Pokers fighting back at the end with that brawl comp. Unfortunately, it just never felt like it was enough.
Vortex with the play of the game. You know, Hippie, like, shout out to Hippie, you know, think Transformers. You know, Hippie's all for that, so shout out to Hippie, but huge shatter right here, but just could not full on capitalize right there.
Yeah, unfortunate situation, but still, at the end of the day, you came out, it was clear what both teams are comfortable on. It was very clear that Real Eclipse loved to play that dive. It was clear that Payload Pokers loved to run that brawl. And when you're in a situation like this during the regular season where it is a set map pool, it's kind of a give and a take here, where it became very obvious what maps they were comfortable on, what maps they weren't really comfortable on. But at the end of the day, Real Eclipse take that 3-0, keep their chances alive. This was the first step to getting in there. They still have to watch a team like Senzen Strikers to lose their matchup, but that matchup, I believe, is happening a little bit later. It's something we're going to have to wait and see, I believe. But get there when we get there. But, I mean, Big Sam, big performance on that dive. Dive is still a very heavily favored composition.
Dive was working. Honestly, I'm biased towards it because I watched him over and over again, but to play the game, I got to go with the Tracer player side of Real Eclipse. Just the pulse bombs kept sticking over and over again. When you can invest a pulse bomb and kill a support or over half damage a tank, that sets up your team for huge success. So shout out to the Tracer player on the side of Real Eclipse. Like, great player, great plays.
I mean, yeah, I gotta have to agree there because Nitzel was doing a lot for that team at the end of the day. Especially look at that last point; those pulse bombs pretty much consistently managing to stick as well. We look back at one of the early on fights; they managed to get a 2K and almost bring back that fight. I mean, incredible job. I do want to shout out High as well over on that Kiriko, who adamantly did not want to die and was getting almost as many final blows, maybe as their DPS counterparts. So I think they both did a phenomenal job overall. Very successful, and this team gets to go into the midseason 2-2. And again, it's a toss-up whether or not they managed to get in or not. I could not tell you how it's going to be. It's something we're going to have to wait and see until the standings update. I might be a mathematician, but I cannot quite predict the future.
Yeah, if we could predict the future, we'd make better money. We get the lottery right all the time. But that's why they play the games. And yeah, it's like the MLB playoffs. You won't know who's in until the end of the regular season. Seedings and time to be determined. So yeah, kudos. It was a great game for them, and shall see if they get to the playoffs. And who knows? If you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
Yeah, that's the thing. At that point, it is anyone's game. The previous results don't mean anything when you're in that playoff situation. Whether you're 2-2, you're 4-0, and have a perfect stage, it doesn't quite matter. It all comes down to that because when you're in the playoffs, it takes one bad game to put you down. It's not like the regular season where you have many, many chances to still come back, still get into the playoffs. Once you're in it, you are in it, and you cannot drop down. So something we'll have to wait and see. But again, congratulations right now to the Real Eclipse. Going to have to see. Right now, I can confirm at the very least we do have 07, Queen's Gambit, and Play Group. All are going to move on in the top 3 spots over into that mid-season playoffs. But again, fourth option just still has to be seen. Either way, we do have one little thing still coming up here. We do have a little interview going to come your way from one of the members of the Real Eclipse. So make sure you stick around because we'll be back with that here in a couple of minutes. Welcome back from our break, ladies and gentlemen. We're on the other side of a 3-0 victory at the hands of the real Eclipse. And here to round us out, we have an interview with one of the players from there, Tasabs. First of all, congratulations on a big win to close out the first half of the season.
Thank you.
Yeah. Obviously, things are kind of set in stone right now with the top 4 going through. Ascension Strikers did take away their win, so gonna have a little bit of a break with the mid-season tournament happening. But I kind of want your kind of perspective on that. You guys still go through the season 2-2. It's not bad in any perspective. I really want to know what you guys feel like you need to do to kind of take these couple of weeks during that break from the mid-season to kind of reset and figure out where you want to take this team, because you guys seem to realistically very comfortable on running your dive.
We don't really have a concrete plan in place. It's just screwing more, getting our comps set in stone and all that.
Okay. Completely fair. Honestly, we were watching through that whole thing, and Big Sam, we were just entirely impressed with how coordinated they were and how these supports managed to stay up pretty much the entire time. That's how it felt.
What was your game plan going into today's game? Was there a certain player you wanted to target and take out early? Was there a certain ult synergy or ability synergy you wanted to use, or what was your game plan?
I mean, we didn't really have a game plan. We're kind of just going with it. We look at the dive targets, I suppose. It's more so just to stay in until we can build ults and then push in and hope not to overult.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of overall thing on the other side of things, but you know what? Went well on your side. You take away that 3-0, but I kind of want to talk about a little about the confident levels as well, because again, we watch you guys. You had a very good dive commitment. You have a very strong 3-0 to be able to end the first half of the season. So, how confident are you going into the second half of the season and hopefully securing yourself a spot in those playoffs?
We're doing our best. We're seeing a lot of improvement. So hopefully we can get another win there.
Yeah, definitely hoping so as well. Again, great performance. But before we send you on your way and let you do a little celebration, if there's anybody you want to shout out or thank for how things have gone today or throughout the season, it's a great opportunity to be able to do so.
Thank you, Hi, for ringing for us. That was really nice of you.
Okay. Wait, yeah, because I kind of played out of their mind a couple of times in there. We were a little impressed by that. But either way, again, congratulations. Big 3-0 win to finish out the first half of the season. We want to wish you luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully wish you some luck for the eventual playoffs as well.
Thank you.
All right, now you go celebrate now, because 3-0, I know a 3-0 feels good. So
It does.
All right, well, you have yourself a good night, and again, congratulations. Okay. So, with that, Big Sam, we had again we have a 3-0 to kind of close out the last week of the first half of the season. But we got a lot of stuff coming up, because Big Sam, next week we get the mid-season madness on our hands.
It's mid-season tourney. It's tourney time. This is when everybody pulls out these big brain strats, or they pull out the DPS Ana, the DPS Moira, Nutty Shatters, the overall just big brain, balls to the wall plays. Before the mid-season tourney, we have a very special matchup tonight of Vicious Essence versus Vicious Sarks. And yes, both teams are from the same org, so there may be some trash talk in their server between the two teams. There may be some emoting. There may be some teabags between those two. Who knows? But that is going to be tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, so be here for that. So, if you can, check out our Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. CGL came up for all our tourney news, for everything going on. Don't forget, we have CGL tokens, so keep watching the streams, get your tokens. Keep supporting us, we'll keep putting out the content. And yeah, I think that's it. Just that one big match tonight from the same org, and then the tourney starts next week, which seedings will be determined, announced / determined later on. So no idea who's facing who or what, when, where, but next week there's going to be some bangers of some matchups. So keep an eye on our socials for that. Follow us. You know, if you get a chance, subscribe to our Twitch. Give us some biddies. Give us some money. We appreciate it. I think that's it.
Yeah, we'll we'll on that. I thought you had like a remote and we're turning us off for a moment. No, but like I said, stick around because we'll stick around for next week because it's gonna be some mid-season madness on our hands. But for right now, gonna take ourselves a little break. Make sure to join us again later tonight. And a match gonna be on the line. But we'll see you all there later tonight.
Stay safe and make good decisions.
Please do.